All right, now here is one of those rare diamond in the rough kind of videos where I talk about somewhat of a controversial topic in regards to recent news of Kevin Hart at first gaining the position of being the host of the Oscars, which he says is something that's been a dream come true. And even though I never watched the show regularly, even when it was online on, I think it's on Netflix if I'm not mistaken, The Real Husbands of Hollywood. And I think there was even like an episode kind of dedicated as a spoof of Kevin Hart, getting really pumped up because he was chosen to host the Oscars. So yeah, it was a big deal. What, sometime last week or the week before last, when it was announced that he was going to be hosting the Oscars. And then a few days later, turns out he stepped down due to not complying with the Academy's request of making a public apology due to some questionable or homophobic tweets on his Twitter account. And okay, let me just knock two things out of the way because I really want to debunk any kind of, debate that people will probably come at me with. Like, number one, I'm not part of the LBGT community. So I know a lot of people who either support or are a part of the community will probably go in the comment section. Well, Jeremy, how can you even talk about this issue when you're not part of that community? You don't know how we feel about it and you can't tell us how to feel. That's not what I'm trying to do here. And that's why I wanted to say that up front right now. Number two, yes, I happen to be black. So to debunk that kind of debate from even starting, you're just supporting Kevin Hart because he's black and a black man got taken down from a position of, hosting the Oscars. And that's the only reason you're on here talking about Kevin Hart shouldn't apologize. Not really because, I'm black and he's black. And I've even done videos over the past couple months, during the whole Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart on one side versus Cat Williams on another. And I've clearly stated that even though I'm not as huge a Kevin Hart fan as I used to be, because I think his What Now or What's Next debate, basically the last stand-up special he did, I don't feel that lived up to any of his previous stand-ups. Some of the movies he's been in recently I've watched, not really my cup of tea. It's more like he's more commercialized as opposed to how he was before, due to his crossover success, obviously catering to more than just a black audience, but mostly white audience based off the material he's been delivering. But I've said that I respect the man in terms of his work ethic and everything he's done for the comedian community, with everything he's been doing outside of just standing on stage, doing stand-up and being in movies. He's putting in the work, so I respect him for that. And maybe I believe the tour that he's wrapping up now is the Irresponsible tour, and I can't wait for that to actually be on, in theaters or on Netflix, because hopefully that tour or that stand-up will be 10 times better than the last one he did. So keep that in mind, that just because, he's a black famous comedian and I'm a black, fan of his, that doesn't mean I'm going to give him a pass just because we're both black. I just wanted to get those two disclaimers out of the way first before we dive into this discussion, okay? So really, the situation is this. Kevin Hart was given the ultimatum of, Kevin, there were some tweets that were found. They really seem very hurtful towards a specific group of people, and you need to make a statement, because if you don't, then you're going to be taken out of the hosting position for the Oscars. Kevin Hart went online, I believe Instagram made a video or two stating he just got a call from the Academy and they gave him the choice, and he decided, I'm not going to apologize due to the fact that I've already addressed this several times before in the past. I've already apologized for it, and I just thought it was best to step down. And really, these tweets are, I looked it up, I looked up some articles. These are tweets from like early 2011, late 2010. And yeah, so we're looking at tweets that are almost a decade years old. And another thing I wanted to bring up is, well, Jeremy, it's a bit hypocritical. You did a couple videos about the whole Roseanne Barr tweet scandal that caused the Roseanne show on ABC to be canceled immediately. And then, it got brought back for the Connors, but Roseanne wasn't a part of it. So how can you be saying that, it was a thing, it was an interesting and good thing that Roseanne was shut down when she got shut down, but Kevin Hart being shut down for his tweets, causing him to not be the host of the Oscars? How is that a bad thing? Well, with the Roseanne Barr situation, that was something that was nipped in the bud right away, due to the fact that Roseanne tweeted those things out right when she did. It was like, you know, it wasn't a situation where it was dug up 15 or 5 or 10 years later. It was something she did that day, and within a matter of hours she got fired. But with Kevin Hart, we're talking about tweets that are almost a decade years old. And I mean, even earlier this year, the whole, I believe the name James Gunn, who was the director of the Guardian of the Galaxy films, his situation with the tweets, and I forgot the exact details. Apparently, it has something to do with possible like pedophile like tweets. I don't look. I mean that. In my mind, I believe that's exact what the situation was. If I'm wrong, you know, forgive me. I forgot. I just know that his situation was similar in that tweets were dug up from years ago, and he got cut loose from that franchise. And even actors from the movie said that they were going to step down from their roles. I think the guy that plays Drax, he said he was going to do it if James Gunn wasn't brought back. And at this point, I believe that Guardians Volume 3 is on indefinite hold until, you know, something is, you know, a new director is found. But when it comes to the Kevin Hart situation, here's the thing that bugs me about it. And yeah, this might, I guess you could say, dance on the line of being about race. But my thing with this is Kevin Hart has been, and this isn't a short joke either, he has blown up to incredible heights of his fame from 2011 to where he is now in 2018. I mean, over the past couple of years, it's like there isn't a movie during any given period during the year, you know, fall, spring, summer, winter, where a Kevin Hart film or a film that Kevin Hart is in isn't in theaters somewhere. I mean, in 2018, Tiffany Haddish, you know, popped out of the woodworks as well, but Kevin Hart has been blowing up, going on all kinds of tours, stand-up comedy, promotionals for films, creating the Laugh Out Loud network. You know, a big opportunity for comedians, you know, especially black comedians who really aren't in the Kevin Hart level of fame, because, you know, Kevin Hart is the it comedian, but he's not the only one. So it's cool that he has that network allowing a lot of other comedians to get their name out there. But also the fact that, why is it the Oscars where these tweets have been dug up? That's my one question. Why the Oscars and nothing else? Because if you go back to 2011, because I did some research, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure Kevin Hart has hosted the BET Awards between now and 2018, and he was actually the host in 2011. And if memory serves, the BET Awards generally comes out around late July or August of a given year. So if you do the math there, that's about maybe 6 months or so from when he actually put out the tweets. And yes, I believe in an article in Rolling Stone in 2015, Kevin Hart stated, you know, like, he would never make the jokes now. And really, this is 2015 onward, but specifically in 2015, he was saying that, you know, he would never make those jokes or those kind of tweets now, given the climate that we're in versus where we were in 2010 and 2011. So some people would say that, yeah, well, those tweets weren't dug up then because, you know, the LBGT and then the Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff, it really wasn't at the level it was back then in 2011. But the thing is, you know, it's kind of weird, because if Kevin Hart put those tweets out in 2011, yet he was still allowed to host the BET Awards, my question is this: if Kevin Hart was selected to host the Oscars in 2011, would he still have been able to host it? Or would people have dug up the tweets? Because a lot of radio, I think Charlemagne on The Breakfast Club was really somebody that made a good point. You know, it's kind of like, you know, the white boys club in terms of, well, Kevin Hart has been doing all these tours and promos and hosting other events, but these tweets never come up. But as soon as the Oscars comes knocking on his door, that's when these tweets get dug up, and that's when, you know, the funk hits the fan. So that's my, I mean, honestly, it's hard to not say this about race, but I'm just saying. Now, when it comes down to it, you know, some people are saying that he should have apologized, and other people's like, no, he shouldn't apologize. You know, a lot of comedians and other celebrities have spoken out about it, how, you know, he shouldn't apologize for it. And let me just make a segue back to Charlemagne on The Breakfast Club and a few other people who said the same thing. it's a good look that he stepped down voluntarily, because it would, Kevin Hart was in a situation where it was damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Because let's say he did apologize, even if it, I'm not saying he would, I'm saying that if Kevin Hart were to apologize, I'm not going to sit here and say that it wouldn't be sincere. But let me just set up the scenario here. Even if Kevin Hart were to apologize for the tweets, even if he was truly sincere, to the public, well, at least to some people, it probably wouldn't seem sincere, because he was made to apologize because the Academy told him to do so. Now, I don't know if let's say if he did make a public apology at the same time that he put out the video saying that he was stepping down from the Oscars, would we ever know that the Academy contacted him to tell him to make that apology? So all I'm saying is this: even if Kevin Hart did apologize, there would still be people, just wondering or looking out the side of their eyes. And also, he stepped down with the great reason that, I'm going to step down because me being there would just be a distraction from a night made to celebrate the stars of these movies. And that's a good point, because even if he apologized and whatnot, he would be on stage and there would still be people going online saying, oh, how come they got this homophobe hosting the show? I'm not going to watch it now. So he made the right move, in my opinion, by stepping down, because some people would just say he apologized to keep the gig. Other people say he apologized, get over it. But I think he made the right move by not doing it at all, because my attitude is this, especially the fact that the guy said this is something he has dreamed of doing for his, most of his career, if not his entire life, and to have this opportunity would be great. But then to be given an ultimatum by the same people who gave you that opportunity, I would step down too. It would not be worth it. I think some sources say it would be like a 6-figure deal for him to do the Oscars, but Kevin Hart has been doing so much stuff on and off the stage, behind and in front of the camera. 6 figures is probably nothing but chump change, but that's how I feel. I feel like, him stepping down was definitely the best move for him. And in regards to the apology, it raises the question of, when is it enough? Like, how many apologies does a person have to make? Now, one person can make the argument, well, Jeremy, when you think about it, think about somebody who was an ex-con, somebody that's fresh out of the, fresh out of jail looking for a job. And, over the next 5 or 7 years, if they're moving from job to job, whether because they're changing location or things don't work out at a job because they don't get hired due to their, ex-con resume, if you will, just being on their resume, they have to explain their situations over and over again. So how come Kevin Hart shouldn't be allowed to apologize over and over again? Well, my thing is this. Kevin Hart has said that he's addressed this several times, and I actually do believe that, him being in the business that he's in, and especially being black, I'm pretty sure when it comes to hosting and other situations like that, there might have been behind closed doors meetings with promoters and whatnot, where he's had to address those tweets. So personally, I feel like in that situation, because we've all posted and said things that we regret to this day. And there's no telling when a job interview might come up when the employer actually does research on you that you didn't even know about, and they're asking you to explain it. So, I mean, it's one thing to explain to the people who select you for a position versus a people group who feels offended, because, I mean, I honestly don't know. I feel like he's made his apology, and my attitude would be the same. I apologize. I'm not going to address this every time. Not to mention, and again, it really comes down to the fact that this is the first time this has just been an explosion in the public's eye, where it seems like there's a select group of people who want to take people down based off of things from 5, 10 plus years ago. It's kind of like, if you're 35, you don't want to get, a spanking from your parents for something you did when you were 8 years old because they didn't bring it up then. So why are they going to bring it up now? That's just my attitude towards it. So I feel like him stepping down was a good move. Personally, I don't feel like he needs to apologize because he's already done it several times before. So I think in one of the videos he said, like, the same people who put in the work to dig up those tweets, why don't you use that same energy to find out all the times I've made public apologies or said it in interviews and things like that? So yeah, that really does hurt, you know, when the people who give you your dream opportunity are the same people who give you an ultimatum. So that's how I feel about it. And then another thing is, you know, he tried to delete the tweets and whatnot, but obviously it was too late, because at that point the tweets are already screenshotted and on the news and on other social media. So I mean, if this is a lesson, you know, be careful what you tweet. Be careful what kind of pictures you take. You know, if you're drunk at a party and whatnot, or even if you're not drunk, maybe you're in a picture with a bunch of people with red cups. You have a red cup that has water in it that's not alcohol. You know, it's just one of those things. Like, if you ever get famous, I guess the best advice would be just to delete all your social media and just start over. I mean, that's literally the best thing I could think of, but I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. So once again, this is not me telling the LBGT community how to feel. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just saying that in regards to Kevin Hart in this situation, I mean, what is it that you want from him? Like, even if you were to apologize, it goes back to saying most people would just assume he was apologizing just to keep the Oscar position. And even after he turned down the role, he did apologize to the people who were offended by the tweets. But at the same time, you know, I just wish him the best in his other projects, and then that's really all I have to say about it. So I really hope to get some good conversation in the comment section below. And guys, you know, let's try to keep it civil. You know, if you disagree with somebody, that's completely fine. If you disagree with everything I said, that's completely fine as well. You know, just kind of point out, you know, what you disagree with and how you feel about the situation. But I don't know. I guess the thing is, when it comes to 2018 has definitely been quite the year, and I'll probably do a separate video on the Me Too and Time's Up movement, just because 2018 is about to come to a close. I honestly don't know. I mean, going into 2019, I hope some changes are definitely placed. You know, I mean, a lot of people, if you look back on this year as a whole, we're talking like gun control, police brutality, Me Too, Time's Up. And the biggest question to me is, you know, when it comes to these accusations, not just of sexual assault and whatnot, but in this situation with like Kevin Hart and James Gunn and Roseanne Barr, when it comes to social media, how far are we looking back? That's my question. Like, how far are we going to look back? Because once again, with Roseanne Barr, they look back in a matter of a couple hours. With James Gunn and Kevin Hart, we're looking at that, you know, going back several years. So I'll leave the conversation open to everybody in the comments. I'll probably check back in a couple days and see what we got here. And if you're wondering, well, Jeremy, if this story broke out, you know, last week, why are you doing a video now? Well, when it comes to these kind of controversial topics, I like to wait a few days because I want to try to get all the facts before I just, you know, grab my microphone and record something. When it comes to the haves and the have-nots, obviously that's different. That's a TV show. When news drops, I do a video. But when it comes to these serious topics that really do bother me, I like to sit back, do some research, get as much information as I can before I formulate an opinion, and try my best to word it as carefully as possible. So when I do make these videos, it's easy to follow. And in the comments, it's just a good flow from the video to the comments. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all soon. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, as well as leaving your thoughts in the comment section below so we can keep the conversation going. On the left hand side of the screen, you should see a picture of Jeffrey Harrington. You can click on him in order to subscribe, but also hit the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content. Also, you should see some videos appearing on the screen as well that I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy if you enjoyed the one you just saw. But also, be sure to follow me on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links to all my social media will be in the description below. And in order to help this channel hit 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to need your help. So make sure to share this video as well as the channel around with all of your friends on your own social media. But once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all in the next video.